Welcome to Truth or Reps. So this is part 2 of the Believe analysis. And following on from the line that said, because being broke's a poor excuse there. That should only give you more fuel, show him why you're you, and he'll return to this at the beginning of verse 2. That should only give you more fuel, show him why you're you. So close, God, it's like I almost got it, but close only counts in time bombs and horseshoes. So a unibomb shit, tick, 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 no remorse, pew. Screw it, I'm lit, and that attitude I blew up on quick. So that's interesting. Saying close only counts in time bombs and horseshoes. So Eminem said, so close, God, it's like I almost got it. But before he had actually gotten it, it was nothing. Close only counts in time bombs and horseshoes. But then Eminem said, so I unibomb shit, tick, 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 no remorse, pew. That's sort of like saying, basically, maybe he put in so much effort in so many different directions that close only counts in time bombs and horseshoes, but he basically, he put in enough effort to blow up in all directions. And so being close enough was good enough. And he says here, screw it, I'm lit, and that attitude I blew up on quick. So basically, he's like, yeah, I'm just going to put in all my effort everywhere. Screw it, I'm lit like a fuse to blow up the bomb or whatever. And that attitude I blew up on quick. So basically, the attitude of doing everything he possibly could in all directions to make being close good enough to succeed, rather than in horseshoe, just like in horseshoes and time bombs. He blew up on that attitude quick. So basically, once he started putting everything into it in all directions, he did blow up. Figuratively, he became a big rapper. And then he follows that by saying, that's why they call me Firecracker. I grew up on Wick, 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 with a short fuse. I got some important news to report to. So I read this here on Genius just now. I never knew what he meant by I grew up on Wick. I thought of like John Wick, but it's like Eminem was way before the time of John Wick coming out when he was growing up. So apparently Wick is, according to Genius, it's a homophone for, it's a homophone for WIC. That's what it is. It's WIC, or the Federal Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children provided to low-income families. So blah, blah, blah. More government assistance and stuff here. That's why they call me Firecracker. I grew up on WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. Wick, wick, wick. And so there he's saying it's wick like a wick of like a bomb or something, an explosive, with a short fuse. So basically, he has a short fuse. He's angry, but it was also a short fuse in the sense that, he grew up quick. He grew up and he blew up pretty quickly. By the time he was in his early 20s, I think he was probably a millionaire. I got some important news to report to anyone who thought I was done. Nah, bitch, not quite. Spotlight's back on. Got my faith. Where's yours? So, and faith wraps into the song title there, which is Believe, but it also wraps into the sense that, like, he has faith that he can still continue because, as he said in the song prior to this, in the album, the first song, Walk on Water, he's been doing this for so long and he's done so much that people are sort of like saying, well, what else do you have for us, Eminem? You're basically done. And he said, anyone who thought I was done, to, not bitch, not quite, spotlight's back on, got my faith, where's yours? Then he goes into the chorus, which is, do you still believe in me? Didn't I give everything I had to give to make you see? I'll never forget if you turn your back on me now and walk out. I will never let you live it down. I'll never quit. Do you still believe in me? So he'll never let you live it down, which sort of, which implies that he's going to do so well that it's going to be you turning your back on him and saying that he wasn't going to do well is going to be embarrassing to you. It's going to be a point of shame, and he's never going to let you live it down. Now, verse 2 starts with an interesting set of lines, and particularly related to the part where he said, show him why you're you. In the first verse, he says, man, I know sometimes these thoughts can be harsh and cold as ice. To me, they're just ink blots. I just fling them like slingshots and so precise. So you might want to think it over twice. So I like the ink blot thing he has there because he's saying, I know sometimes these thoughts can be harsh and cold as ice. So I know like what I'm saying can sound kind of harsh and cruel and mean. To me, they're just ink blots. And an ink blot is a test given to someone to say, like, here's some kind of colors or splotches on a page. What do you think of this? And so his thoughts that are so harsh and cold as ice or whatever, that's just him telling you what he thinks of things. Like, that's just him giving you his honest reaction to what's in front of him. So to me, they're just ink blot. They're just my, like, what's in front of me. Well, I guess you could say what's in front of him is the ink blot, but the thoughts about them are like his responses to the ink blots, maybe. I don't know, but I will say after that he says, I just fling them like slingshots and so precise. I like that, though, because if you're just flinging your thoughts about an ink blot, then it will be so precise because you're giving, it seems like you're just flinging thoughts. It seems like you're just being sloppy, but what you're really doing is giving your honest impression of something. What you're really doing is giving your first impression of what you think of this ink blot, and that's how they will be precise. They don't want you to give something that you've labored over, that you thought about. Does this sound too cold as ice? Does this sound attractive enough to people? Or does this sound mean or abrasive or something? They want you to say what you actually see on the page. And so he just flings them like slingshots, his rhymes. Well, to him, they're like ink blots. He just flings them like slingshots and so precise. I would say, again, that might be more like he's flinging his responses to an ink blot, but his responses are precise because they're just sloppy, because he's just throwing them out there, because it's really him that he's showing you. And thus, we go back to verse 1, show him why you're you. That should only give you more fuel. Show him why you're you. And he says, like a short fuse, he says something about, like, put your temper to more use. Like, your temper alludes to you actually feeling sincerely about something. You're mad about it, so put it to more use, and he's putting it to more use in his rhymes to the point where they're more accurate when he hides his temper less, or when he formulates it or formats it less, because he's just giving you actually what he thinks, and so that's going to be the most precise response to an ink blot. Anyway, so you might want to think it over twice, he says after the so precise part, and that's actually kind of interesting because though a response to an ink blot might be best to be something that somebody didn't think over twice, your assessment of his response to an ink blot, or of the ink blots, although, again, I think it might work better if you're talking about his responses to things as his responses to the ink blot as being his rhymes rather than the ink blots themselves being his rhymes. And so you might want to think it over twice. You might want to think over your response to what he threw out, because he's as precise as he can be. He's just laying it out there. He's just flinging it like a slingshot and so precise. And you're looking at that and you want to be very precise in how you analyze it. Interestingly enough, you might want to look over it more and think more about it to be more accurate about it, because you don't want to mess up your interpretation of what he's giving you accurately. So basically, he's being so accurate, he's being what he is, because he's showing you you're you, but with him. He's showing you himself. He's being authentic. So he has put a lot of work into this, but he's emphasizing here, in a certain way maybe, that it's him being authentic. It's him putting his temper to more excuse. He's not having the poor excuse of being broke. He's not, he is putting in a lot of effort here. He started from the bottom like a snowman. He put in a lot of effort, as he says, ground up, which I explained as being like ground chuck, grinded up meat. But you could also, of course, look at that as he was built ground up from the bottom like a snowman. Like from the bottom, he really put in all the work right from the beginning. And yet, his authenticity is the key here.